Hey, doing well. How you doing, Wyatt? Yeah. Of course, who wouldn't be, right? He's the GOAT. Yeah. Yeah, that's when it was fun. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's when it was really fun because now you got a lot of guys shooting just three pointers, and the physical aspect of the game has changed. So I have a lot of respect for like the '90s to 2000. I remember Sean Kemp and the glove, like Gary Payton when I was living in Seattle, Washington area. Like you know what I mean. I remember the older guys, and it was just a different game back then. Thanks, man. Yeah, so we are CNEX, and we are a tech company based out of the Bay Area. Now we're expanding globally, but what we're building is very unique. It's called Venue Plus, our platform, and what we essentially have done is created a streaming marketplace where we focus on movies in the cinematic window in that first 45-day theatrical window and live events. And what we do is we turn every screen, your phone, your tablet, your TV, into a ticketed secure seat. So each person that's watching has to be accounted for. We use AI and the front facing camera of your phone, your tablet, and we have a small device that you utilize for the TV. And it's got the camera embedded. Obviously, your phone and tablet already have a camera embedded. And we use that to measure how many people are actually engaging and watching with the content, whatever's they choose to watch on the platform. So it's really cool. It gives us the ability to bridge this gap where if I can't go to the movie theater for whatever reason, or if I can't get to a concert of my favorite artist that's 2, 3 states across for whatever reason, I'm not left out, right? As a fan, as someone with the ability to, let's say, the disposable income to be able to be a part of that experience, but I may necessarily not have the ability to go there. I may be, living in rural markets. I may have children, little kids. I may be disabled. I may just not like to be in a really crowded area. I may not like to be in a dark room. So, like, whatever the case may be, there are consumers that are kind of sidelined because of those different variables. And we've created Venue Plus to be able to capture everybody and create fan inclusivity and fan engagement like never before. Yeah, absolutely. So early on, we just hit the pavement. We walked around the subways. We had clipboards. We were giving away pens for people that wanted to take the survey, and we would just be the subway. By the way, is a great place to do surveys because it's a captive audience. Like they can't go anywhere. So you just show up and you're like, hey, if you fill out the survey, you can have the pen. And there were some nice, like the decent pens with our logo on it. And you'd be surprised people would fill out the survey just to keep the pen. And it was a very short survey. You don't want to overburden the people that you're surveying. So it was just talking about, hey, if this existed, like if there was a way to sell you a ticket, and you'd be able to watch this movie that's playing in cinemas right now, or catch a live concert of your favorite artist from New York, and you live in Chicago or you live in L.A., would you do it? and we had a tremendous. I believe the numbers, and I'm just kind of tell you what I remember. Don't quote me on the exact numbers because this was a couple years ago. We were in the above 80 percentile that said they would do it, like they'd be seriously do it. And then there was a small percentage that said maybe, and even a smaller percentage that said no, this isn't for me. So seeing that type of a feedback from actual potential customers that would be using our system was the initial kind of like aha moment that we had. At the time, Netflix was huge. There were a lot of other streamers coming into the platform or into the ecosystem, and we knew that streaming was the future. Like that's where the industry was going. However, there's always this been kind of a gap between going to a physical brick and mortar cinema or a arena and then being able to then catch it like downstream in a streaming platform. And there was a gap. A lot of things now with the internet were kind of spoiled. Like you want to watch this one movie, you miss it. By the time it comes into streaming, you already know about like the ins and outs. You know exactly the story. Social media's already ruined it for you. Friends are talking about it. So with everyone being so connected, that the excitement window or that excitement was very limited. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to capitalize on that. We said, well, as the windows are shrinking, as if you guys remember, like theatrical windows were 90 days. Now they're 45. And in the last CinemaCon, there was talks around even shortening that. So as the window gets shorter, and I know the exhibitors don't want to hear that, but as the windows get shorter, how do we expand engagement and ticket sales? How do we make sure that now that you have a shorter window, how can we sell more tickets and reach more fans that want to see it because you've got this pent up demand of all the hype. You're spending $100 million to make a movie and then possibly another $50 million for a worldwide marketing budget, right? So you create all this demand, yet your outlet is riddled with bottlenecks, right? Hours of operation, limited screens, limited seats. So like it didn't make sense for us. There was a problem in the business model, and one of the cool early videos that I saw was Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs was talking about how the movie industry and how there's a problem. The studios think that the exhibition is their business or is their end customer. It's not the exhibitors, right? It's the customer, it's the viewer that's coming in to watch the movie. The exhibition is just your delivery outlet. It's your delivery mechanism. It's your distribution mechanism. So looking at what the consumer wants, and the consumer wants access and the least amount of friction possible to get to what they want, we created Venue to be a part of that ecosystem. So we can't replicate the amazing experience you have in a big screen, right? In a cinema, especially with some of the new cool tech that's coming out. Laser tuned sound, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos sound, or your IMAX experiences. We can't replicate that on a phone, on a TV, or on a tablet. But what we can do is, if you're not into that atmosphere, or if you're not able to get there, then why leave you out? So with Venue Plus, we can create an ecosystem that replicates the ticketed model, so you're not cannibalizing that experience or that business, but you're adding to it. It's additive. And a lot of times I use the analogy of like, we saw this with restaurants. Now you can go to Ruth Chris and have a steak dinner on a real plate with real fork and knife, utensils, with that ambiance and atmosphere. Or you can order it from DoorDash or Uber Eats. It comes to your house and you have it there. So you're still paying the same amount, which is possibly you're paying a little more because you're paying for the delivery charge. But then you're eating it out of a food container with plastic fork and spoon. The atmosphere isn't there, but you're eating the Ruth Chris steak that you wanted to eat with your glass of wine that you had at home. So now with Venue Plus, you can do that with entertainment. You can pick and choose, right? You can be like, I want to watch this new Mission Impossible 15 movie. I think we're like almost at that. By the way, shout out to Tom Cruise and everyone involved. Great movie, great last final I guess version. But yeah, I don't know. They might like. I think it's the last one for Tom, but we'll see if it's the last one. Um, but yeah, great job. I saw that movie. Everybody should go see it in cinemas because we don't have it on Venue yet. But so the idea was like, hey, as a customer, I want to watch the movie, but I don't want to go to the cinema for whatever reason. but I also want the cinema popcorn and nachos, right? So what's really cool about Venue Plus is we can do that. You can customize your experience. You can have this VIP customized experience where you can order the food and beverage from the nearest cinema, so they still increase their F&B business. You can, stream it on Venue Plus, buy that ticket, and we would cut in obviously the exhibitor, right? That's in that region. So it's really a way to bring all the pieces of the ecosystem. You have the distributor, the studios, the exhibition, the cinema chains, and us working together, which is our vision, to working hand in hand to increase the value of the entire industry and to provide the ultimate experience for the customer, which is, that's your end goal. Like you want to make customers happy. Absolutely. So great question. A lot of the major studios, although they like the idea and see where the vision could go, they don't want to be first, right? Because they don't want to rock the apple cart and piss off the exhibitors. Because right now we don't have the volume of users where they could take that risk. And if at this point, if they went directly to like in cinemas and on Venue Plus, one of the fears is that the exhibitors would boycott and say, "Well, if you're putting it on Venue Plus, I'm not playing your movie." Now, clearly, they can't sustain that for long because then how are they going to pay their bills, right? They've got overhead, they've got they want people to come in and sell tickets. So if they're not playing the movie because it's playing on us, it's not really benefiting them, right? But they would do that, and since we don't have the large volume of users, it would put a dent in the studio's business as well. So the studio doesn't want to take that risk. So what we're doing now is we're onboarding the independent filmmakers, the independent distributors, which quite frankly they have great content, they have great stories, very unique stories, and a lot of times they don't even get the distribution into exhibition. Like because again, exhibition these theaters have limited screens, limited seats, and they're trying to pull in and the content that they think is going to bring the most foot traffic, right? And a lot of times, movie cinemas are, really tentpole, like a lot of the tentpole bigger movies released in cinemas because, again, quite frankly, they're trying to get as many people to come in, buy the popcorn, buy the snacks, and sit down and watch the Mission Impossible or the Avatars. Funny statistics here. Last year, only 401 movies played in cinemas in the U.S., but there were over 9,000 movies made globally. So that is a huge gap. And what we're trying to do right now is, I guess, in a way, prove our model and prove our product market fit by bringing on these independent filmmakers, storytellers, these independent studios and distributors to be able to give them the light, and be able to reach fans regardless of where they may be, to be a part of that experience, to be a part of that story. So we're really proud of that. We're really proud to be able to give the smaller guys a platform that they can utilize to expand their content and their hard work. And I know the fans out there, especially the movie buffs, they want to see it. I mean, look at what we're seeing with these streamers. A lot of times, the shows or the episodes and the movies that do really well are these foreign independent films, right? So the industry's changing, and we're all for it. We're here for it. Oh, Tyler Perry, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, absolutely, and that's one of the big things that we're betting on, right? So right now, and since we've started, really, we've been ahead of the curve, and we've been working in this industry which is very calcified and protected and entrenched. Like a lot of the movie theater owners are really like, you know, entrenched, old, calcified individuals that are afraid of change. That that don't look at AI as like an opportunity. They look at it as like a huge like risk, and like they're very risk avert. Well, things are going to change. Some of the statistics say that it's going to cost 1/10 the cost of to make a like a Hollywood production type of content. And again, like if you have a good unique story, if you've got this ambition in you to become a movie maker or a filmmaker or a storyteller, with the power of AI, where they're saying that the volume of content is going to be 30x. So we're looking at the next like 2 years. In the next 2 years, with the way these AI technologies and tools are advancing, like VO3. I mean, I'm using VO3 now to make 8 second videos, and a lot of times you make them and you're like, wow, that's really really good. And this is the infancy stage, so we're talking so good already. And that's just like VO3. Like there are some other advanced tools that I know. Like I got friends in the industry that are using Runway and some other cool tools that really like they look almost real. And if not, like you couldn't tell if someone told you like, hey, this is AI made, you'd be like, no way. So imagine like the exponential growth, and imagine 2 years from now when normally would have cost, let's say, $10 million or $5 million to make a decent, hour and a half long movie. Now it's going to cost you like 100 grand, and instead of like 4 months of production, you're going to do it in like 15 20 days. So the volume of content and the speed at which it's being created and put out is going to change. It's going to be very different in the next 2 years. When that happens, clearly there's not enough physical cinemas to deal with the volume. Even now there isn't, because like I said, 401 movies released in the U.S. in cinemas, 9,000 movies made globally. Okay, so globally, I think the 9,000 movies are globally, so all different titles and genres and languages. But I mean, a lot of them would be coming, like, not a lot of them, but these international movies do come to the US for theatrical release as well, even though it's limited. And again, you have limited screens, you have limited seats, you have limited hours of operation, and now you have 30x the volume of content coming out, and it's coming out twice as fast. So where do you put it all? And we would be the digital exhibition platform for these new AI filmmakers to utilize to sell tickets. And what's really cool about this is we can be a part of the box office numbers. So imagine selling $100 million. I'm just making numbers up here. $100 million in the physical box office, but then your movie did another 100 million or possibly even more, because again, there's no limitations and no seats capacity or anything. 100 million in digital box office, which is us. But if you combine the two, your total box office has now become 200 million, which really dictates the value of your content going downstream. So as you're doing the licensing deals with the other streamers, you're like, hey, my movie did 200 million in box office. Here's the numbers: 100 million in physical, 100 million in digital. So now what's Venue doing is it's increasing the value of the entire industry. Like now content's just going to have a higher value. The deals are set at a higher, valuation. And then again, watching movies in the cinema doesn't really cannibalize streaming, because the more people watch in cinemas, the more buzz it gets, the more box office numbers it gets. It makes the people that weren't able to catch it in cinemas think, oh wow, this is a big hit. Like everybody's watching this, let me watch it. So it's not like it's a win-win. It's really, there's really no downfall to expanding ticketed window into the digital side. Yeah, exactly. So what's cool about our tech is it doesn't actually it's all on the edge, by the way. So when you're watching it on the phone, the tablet, the TV, we're not taking images and sending them to the cloud to do analysis. We're doing everything on the edge, so it's very secure. And again, we're not doing facial recognition, so we don't know it's like Wyatt and Jihan. We know there's two people looking at the screen. Um, and in that case, right, if I have one ticket and we're both sitting here watching it together, then it's going to pause and say, hey, you have one ticket. We're measuring two viewers, so then buy an additional ticket. So you can either buy your own ticket, I can buy the ticket for you. It's very flexible. And then what's really cool is, let's say a third person comes in and is like, hey guys, I want to watch with you guys too. Well, we're not going to all sit there on a phone and watch it shoulder to shoulder. It's probably not going to be the best experience. But for the security content, we can't allow for it to just cast or screen mirror or whatever to the TV, because we want to make sure that everybody that's watching is accounted for. So then you would simply just launch your Venue TV app on the Venue X device, and you would be able to just resume the movie that you started on your phone or tablet on the TV. Again, then it would see the entire room, right? The field of view is about 140-degree field of view. And then you and I are watching, a third friend comes in, we're like, okay, let's just switch it. We buy a third ticket, or our friend buys his own ticket, and then we just switch it to the TV. Now we're having a TV experience. The content's the same. It's a bigger screen. And now all three of us are sitting comfortably. And then I can say, hey guys, you want to just order some popcorn and nachos and some snacks from AMC down the street? And then we would order it. Your Uber Eats or DoorDash would deliver it. And now we have our own VIP at home, cinema experience. Now everybody wins. AMC just got a piece of those three tickets. AMC just sold food and beverage, F&B to us. We made a small fee for every ticket sold. The studio gets their piece, or the distributor gets their piece. It's truly a win-win. And at the end of the day, the customer's happy because the customer got on-demand, access to what they wanted to watch. Yeah. So my background's business. Yeah, I'm a business graduate from Penn State. We are Penn State, by the way, to all my Nittany Lions out there. Uh, but what happened was, I've always been an entrepreneur, and coming out of college, I got into the corporate world for a couple of years, made some good money, but then I was like, I can't do this. I want to go off on my own because I want to build, I want to create, I want to solve problems, and I've always been a big fan of storytelling, movies, entertainment. Coming to the U.S. as an immigrant from Turkey, I was 6 years old. I didn't know any English, so between going to school and trying to learn English, TV was my like outlet. And in Turkey, we didn't have a TV, so when we came to the U.S. and finally have a TV, now it's like my whole world had changed. And so I just grew up watching a lot of movies, and I'm a movie buff myself. And I still do. Like on my free time, I'll even have a movie just like playing in the background because I just like hearing the story or hearing being a part of it. So then once I kind of got out of my corporate life and I was like, look, I have some money. What can I do? Netflix was big. Obviously, all the streamers were happening. And I was like, God, why do I even pay for Netflix? Like all this stuff I've already seen, right? And then this was like right around when they started creating their own stuff, but like it was mostly old content that they were putting out. And I was like, why don't we watch movies that are in cinemas? Like, why can't I watch it? Why do I have to go to the cinema? And we had PlayStation Move and Xbox Connect at the time, right? Those were big. And so I was like, wait a minute, if these guys can detect people moving around and play a game with it, I can create something similar, and I can, measure how many people are watching and turn every screen into a cinema. So I wrote that down on a piece of paper, slept on it, woke up the next day, and I was like, well, thinking in my business mind, how am I going to protect against piracy and things like that? Like, how am I going to do this? So then I started just doing a lot of research, started cold calling the studios, started getting into, I cold called the studios for like 3 months, and then finally broke in. Peter Levinson, shout out to Peter Levinson at Universal. He was the first person to like call me back and say, hey, come out here and show it to me. So I flew out there, I showed him the idea. We had like a very basic working prototype, like not even. And so he saw it and he was like, yeah, this is terrible, but the idea is great, right? So like he goes, if you guys work at this and you get users and you get, traction, this is a no-brainer. So all I needed was really like that. I needed to hear that from an insider to be able to be like, whoa, there's something here. So I just went full on into it. We submitted the patents. We got the patents. We beat Microsoft to our claims, which was cool. And we just started building. But initially, we built this. because in our minds, like these movies had to be seen on TV. There's no way that people would watch it on their phone. And then by the time we built this, the industry was like, hey, 80 some percent of the younger generations consuming on mobile. And I'm like, well, okay, so this is cool for those people that want to watch on the TV, but let's do a mobile app because there's less friction. Like we have to sell this to someone. Like we have to convince someone to buy this and put it on their TV. But a phone or a tablet is like in your pocket, it's ready to go. You just download the app and you're ready to rock and roll. So that's what we did. We did the device first and we patented the design and everything. So this is ready to go. And then we also now have the mobile app, which is Venue Plus. And what's really cool is, so now we're in a position where we've launched Venue Plus. It's live in the App Store and Play Store. We're streaming some independent movies now, so feel free to check it out. But now, as we grow that user base, there's going to be a segment of that user base that's going to say, hey, this is cool, but like I want to watch it on my TV. And instead of saying, oh, sorry, we don't have a solution for that yet, we're going to be like, yeah, man, cool. Here, order your Venue X device and we'll ship it out to you. And so now we're like covering all the bases, even though that wasn't really originally the plan. It kind of ended up being that way. Yeah, totally. And that's what the research shows. I mean, I understand them because, like, how many times were you watching a movie loud in the living room and your mom's like, hey, turn that down? And you're like, ah, So, like, with the new generation, they put on those earbuds. Those are like Dolby. They have like Dolby Atmos in the earbuds. They've got this beautiful iPhone or Samsung or a Google phone, which is like 1080p HD or 4K quality. And they're just immersed, right? They're like in the zone, immersed. And I get that. I mean, I totally get it. But that's cool because we're there for you. Like we're there for you. We're there on phones, tablets, and TVs. We're ready to rock and roll. Wherever you want to watch a venue, it's there for you. So this is gonna be 149.99. Um, and yeah, we're also working on some subsidies and some promos that we can help push it out. But I think the biggest way to get it out is just create that demand. And the way to create the demand is just launch with the one with less friction, your phone and tablet, right? Your apps. And then as the demand rises, like the device is ready, like it's there for you. So if that segment of consumer that's like, hey man, this is cool, but I can't mirror it and screen it to my TV, like I want to watch it on my 80-inch. Hey, $150, it's there for you. No, there's a small margin. There's a small margin that we're selling it at. And one of the cool things is that margin, we're looking for distribution partners. We were thinking possibly like the Verizon or AT&T could be good. And then so if a distribution partner aligns with us, then we're willing to leave a majority of that margin to them for the push and the distribution. Um, for us, it's just an access point, right? We make money on the tickets sold. We make money on the immersive experiences, on the ad network. So just like a movie theater, you when you start a movie on our platform, there'll be a small ad, and yes, it's skippable. You can absolutely skip it, but it also has a cool feature where you can watch a trailer or two. And the trailers are always fun to watch because you see what's coming next, like what's going to be releasing soon. So we'll have like one or two ad spots that's skippable, and then the trailers that you can't skip, and then the movie starts. And once the movie starts or the main feature starts, there's no ad, there's no interruptions. But you can pause it and go to the bathroom. You can pause it and go pick up your kids if you have to. Well, whatever your life throws at you, the Venue Plus system is flexible enough to accommodate it and not miss the scene, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, once the device starts moving, we can do promos like people that buy the device get two free tickets to, immediately jump on and watch anything that's on the platform, right? Or you can do something like, you buy two tickets, or if you buy X amount of tickets, you get the device for half off. And there's a lot of promos that we're looking at. There's subsidies, like again, if we partner with a Verizon or an AT&T, then they could just rent you the device. Like you could just get the device, and then it's like $2 extra on your bill every month, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can always do Klarna. Did I say that right? So it's like, you buy now and like pay later, or pay in installments. So that was huge in Europe. Like in Europe, that's been around for a long time, and finally, like it's coming to the U.S. and a lot of people are buying things where they can, do small incremental payments towards it. So there's a lot of ways that I think if they want this, like if someone is like, hey, I really want to stay home, watch movies, watch concerts, watch stand-up comedy shows in the comfort of my own home, the device cost is probably not going to be the biggest barrier. And also, it's got Google TV operating system. So like it's not just a venue TV app. You're getting all your other streaming services, your news, your music, and you can do Google Meet, and you can do a video call right from your TV. It's got the embedded microphone and the camera, so you can have a really nice, crisp video conference with family and friends right from your TV. So we started building the set like end of 2019, and then no, I mean I've been a serial entrepreneur for other small businesses, but nothing like in tech. So I started in the past, like when I was younger in college and in high school. I've started a mobile detailing business, a food truck business. I imported cheese and wine from Turkey into the States. I imported marble at one time. So I've always been busy. Well, now this is a whole different animal. Like this is a very different beast, because on those other things, like it was very hands on. Like you had a product, here's my product, and I'm selling it to you. Like you want it, or here's your car. Let's you got a nice Rolls Royce, and we're gonna come and detail it for you in your house. It's a very different. Here you have like an idea that then you have to like turn into a reality, and then once the ideas become a reality, then you got to figure out product market fit, and and then in our case, like there's a lot of players involved. It's not just like, hey, here's my product and here's my customer, let me try to sell it. Our product is here, but without the content providers, without the artists and like the live event promoters that are supporting it, that are going to come onto it, it's really just paperweight. So, so it's like it's a very different beast. Um, but it's an amazing journey, and I'm always up for the challenge. My dad's an entrepreneur, so he's always been an entrepreneur ever since I can remember. Um, and even when we came to the U.S., like he came here with zero English, and was like barely any money in his pockets. And when we got here, I remember him selling leather jackets that he'd fly to Turkey, buy leather jackets, put them in luggage, and fly back, and then sell them at the flea markets and different markets. So I remember like sitting at the flea markets at our table, and him with his broken English selling leather jackets and stuff. So yeah, I mean, and then he went from that to like creating his own business and a consulting firm, and grew it, and was very successful for someone that has um, you know maybe a little bit of high school education, zero English, and just the will and drive to just make something happen. So he was probably the biggest influence in my life, and I seeing him succeed, and like always create and build something, and always being with him, it kind of rubbed off on me. For sure, as they should, right? Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I can't speak for I can speak for him. Like he left a very successful career, and a lot of resources and money to bring us to America for that American dream and that opportunity, he would have been a lot more successful and a lot more, you know, he would have been into politics. He might have even gone as far as becoming maybe even the prime minister of the country had he stayed in Turkey. He gave up all that to bring us to the U.S. and to provide us the means to have the American dream. And I think that, of course, like in America, the dream was that if you work hard and you do things right, and you're positive and you have the energy and the drive and the determination, that you can make something of yourself. And you hear this with like the books, like you read Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, and he came here with like a couple dollars in his pocket, and the guy, look where he is today. And it's funny because in America you see a lot of the immigrants succeed. Like a lot of successful CEOs, these major companies that are run by these awesome CEOs are all immigrants in a way. And so, yeah, I think America does have that that landscape or that ingredient that boosts your inner entrepreneurial spirit. Had we stayed in Turkey, my father probably would have been super successful, but I would have probably been just like like one of the, like golden spoon fed, like, hey, I got everything, I don't need to work for nothing type of thing. So in a way, he gave up his dreams and maybe super success to give us the ability to be who we are today. So, shout out to my dad. Love you, dad. And yeah, yeah, it's funny. I think it's just the comfort zone. Like America's got such a good system in place that the second generation grows up with just comfort. Like they're just too comfortable, and they have access to everything, so they don't know the value of what they have. So the first generation, like we don't know things like burnout or frustration is a part of the life. Like for me as a first generation immigrant, I'm like, what are you frustrated at? Oh, this didn't work out. So like, try something else. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're a lot more tough skinned, I think, and that's probably because we didn't grow up in such a great environment where everything is like readily available, and like we have this beautiful system in place that gives you everything. And again, you're like, we're spoiled, right? A lot of, if you're living in America and you're young, you're very spoiled compared to the rest of the world. Yeah, dude. Honestly, like now looking back, I probably wouldn't have taken on this challenge, like because it's really, like if I'd known everything I know now, I would have been like, nah, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna do a different product, or like we're gonna go into some different field. Trying to change Hollywood, trying to change these calcified gatekeepers' minds is harder than building a rocket ship. Like it probably would have been easier if I would have built a rocket ship and competed with SpaceX versus like going. I probably sound ignorant because I don't know anything about that industry. So Elon Musk is probably looking at me like, "Shut the hell up." But like no, honestly, like I would have probably taken a different route because like there's plenty of problems to solve in the world, but it had to be me to pick like let me solve the Hollywood problem, right? Like let me solve content distribution problem and accessibility problem. But I mean, again, I'm not in any way running away from a challenge. Like I love it. I love what we do. The chance that we succeed is it's going to be a historic moment where we can change the way the industry and consumers consume content, just like Netflix did with streaming. Like Venue Plus could be that company that changes the way ticketed entertainment is now consumed, especially since the future, as we know, is digital and it's on streaming. Like there has to be a way that we can take the industry to that level while maintaining and protecting the physical exhibitors, because that's always our goal. We're not out to end the theatrical business. We want to be additive and expansive of it and be like complementary to it. And even now when we talk to the exhibitors and want to partner with them, we tell them about like integrating their food and beverage, integrating a loyalty program, so when you watch movies on Venue Plus, you earn points that you can only redeem back at the physical cinema. So we're trying to create an ecosystem where we can all thrive. Whereas, I mean, again, if we had like an A16Z behind us with 100 million, $200 million in funding, you might say, hey, screw the legacy players. We're gonna do this and we're gonna grow it. But we've always been like, hey, we want to work with everybody, and we don't need to raise $200 million. We can raise little by little, build what we want, build the vision, and we're gonna get the support of these players. That may not be the smartest path, because at the end of the day, they are very risk avert, and that may be one of the reasons why this doesn't go anywhere. That the reason that we didn't want to just raise a bunch of money and like just bombard the industry with our way of doing things. We wanted to kind of create that ecosystem, but time will tell. Let's see. We're pushing very hard, and we've got something very cool. I know the consumers want it. All our market research shows that the consumers want this. Now it's just a matter of getting the content owners, the content distributors, the exhibitors to kind of drink the Kool-Aid as well. Yeah. But shout out to MoviePass. They're on the rise again, so they're coming back strong. Shout out to MoviePass and I forget the gentleman's name who founded it. Spikes. His last name is Spikes. Anyway, shout out to you if you're out there and you hear this. Shout out. It takes a lot to fail publicly, although it wasn't his fault that the company failed. He was ousted from the company, and then the smart guys crashed and burned. So now he's bought it back and he's coming back strong. And so I wish him the best, and congratulations, and rooting for his success. But yeah, dude, I mean, it takes a lot to bring back a publicly failed brand back to life and then like set it straight. So Stacy Spikes, yeah, shout out to Stacy. And I actually spoke to him, and he's a cool dude. He's doing something very different. His kind of mission was to how do we sell more tickets and get people to come into the cinema. Well, that's awesome, and I think that's very cool. But like again, that's very limited. How do we expand access? How do we get more fan inclusivity and fan engagement? Clearly, not everyone's going to be able to drive to the cinema. Go, I can't go. I have two little kids. Like to find a babysitter and go to the cinema. I haven't been in the cinema for. My son is about to be 8, since 8 years almost. Like the only time I've been to a cinema is if I take them to a. The last time was Wild Robot. The Wild Robot was what we went to see. That was the last time. So for me and my wife to go and watch like a movie that's made for adults, like we'd have to find a babysitter, or we're lucky that a family member's in town. But if Venue Plus was, where we want it to be right now, I could be watching a movie with my wife, at least 2 movies a week. So imagine like the volume of ticket sales that could bring and how that increases the business for everybody. So that's kind of where we're trying to get to. Nice. Yeah. Oh, great movie. Dude, it was a tearjerker, man. It was like, yeah, I can't lie. I shed a tear or two for sure. My daughter and my son were just captivated. It was a great movie, by the way. Yeah, absolutely. And the story was very unique. It wasn't like a remake of like, unless I'm missing something, it wasn't a remake of anything. It was like a very genuine, unique story, and it was really cool. I loved it. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, no, great question. So we've raised a little over 3 million, and we're on our way to five. So we're currently raising on a safe. But we've been lucky because we haven't raised from any VCs or institutional investors. We've only raised from angels, and the angels that we've raised from have been super supportive. They've not only invested, like some of them have tripled down, some of them are now like quadrupled down. Um, and as we show traction, our core investors keep putting more money in to keep the runway going and to keep traction and momentum going. So we've been blessed with an amazing cap table of really cool investors, really supportive investors. Some of them have joined us on our advisory board. One of them is Mina Masood. He played Aladdin in Disney's feature film Aladdin. He was the lead character, and so having him on the cap table and on the advisory board is really cool because he brings that other angle that none of us are privy to, right? From the art, from the actual artist, from the in the industry side of it, and then we've got some lawyers, some doctors, some tech guys that have had exits before. So we got some good mix up of angels in there, and we're not really in a rush to raise a big round from a VC. We want to see if we can create the traction and the revenue to be able to raise from a strategic partner. In my vision, and again, obviously, you want to raise from wherever you can raise from. I'm not saying like it's bad to raise from VCs. However, if you can raise from a strategic partner that's aligned with your vision and like where you're trying to take the company, that's always better, in my opinion. So we are kind of pursuing that, but in the mix of all of it, if and when, because we do talk to some like VC scouts and stuff, if we do end up raising from a VC, that'll be awesome. It'll be great. Yeah, right now it's customer acquisition because clearly like streaming is a big thing and all the major players are already like saturated with customers. Um, Everybody knows them, everybody knows their brand. So we're coming out with something totally unique and new. And again, it's ticketed. So people are like, huh, I'm going to buy a ticket per person. Um, so you got to kind of get over that. You got to educate the customer and kind of get over that hump. But then it aligns so that hump is not as hard to get over if you have desirable content. So content is king at the end of the day in our industry. So if you have like if we were able to put on a Taylor Swift concert, like imagine we'd probably like the system would probably like the servers probably would like fry themselves, right? We'd have to increase our servers to the highest level at AWC. I'm sorry, AWS. So like but then you get an artist that up and coming, not very well known, and then you have to be able to market that. So some of the challenges is not so much on the consumer side because again it's all based on content and desirable content. It's more so on getting the industry players to come on board, right? So we're trying to get the content distributors to come on board and not put on just any kind of movie put on desirable content, international content providers will come on board and put on desirable content, and then live event folks. We're not big enough, or we don't have the resources to sponsor and put on our own live events like Netflix does, right? But if there is a live event being put on by any kind of promoter or sponsor, we can expand the audience there. So we are approaching some of these physical venues, as well as some of the promoters and sponsors to say, hey, look, we exist. We're out here. We have the capability. Our system is live. So if you've got a concert in November, and you want to expand the audience way beyond the physical brick and mortar, we're here for you. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. The product is finished, developing, building is done. We've debugged, we've pilot tested, everything's ready to go. So now we're on the new challenge. The new challenge is like customer acquisition, content acquisition, and getting these players to come on board and try out the system. Man, I've been trying, man. Dana's a hard person to get into. I've been messaging some of his team members on LinkedIn and stuff. But then again, you see, we're not a big known name yet. But if we had that one event, like Jake Paul, if you see this, let's talk. If your next fight, I get it. This one's great, and best of luck to you against Cesar Chavez Jr. But your next one, instead of going with these big players that dictate everything, you can have your own your own creativity, your own event right here on Venue Plus. Sell tickets per person, and yeah, expand the audience, reach more fans, and do it on your terms. Yeah, yeah. Well, the good thing is Aiden Ross. He's doing those celebrity fights. Aiden, we're here for you if you want to put on some celebrity fights on Venue Plus and sell some tickets and expand the reach. Do it. What's really cool about our system is this. Just to end it off with this, pay per view exists, right? But pay per view can be expensive. So if you're a single viewer, like for me to dish out $60, if I'm just gonna watch by myself, is a pretty big bite. But if I'm gonna have 10 friends over, then everybody throws in $5. We're done, right? Like that's not even a thing. But you're missing out a lot of onesies and twosies. A lot of these onesies and twosies are like, dude, I'm not paying 50, $60, or they have to go to like a sports bar to watch it out there. We could, so as you're putting it on pay per view, you could also put it on Venue Plus and market it to the onesies and twosies. Like, hey, if you're not having a house party, don't pay the $60. Pay the $10 and watch it by yourself. And I think that could actually be really beneficial because again, instead of losing millions of potential single viewers, here's a way to capture them. So for all those content creators or those live streaming guys out there that are doing pay per view, we're here for you. Let's talk. Would love to be an outlet to expand your audience. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been now playing a lot with AI, and so I think learning how AI is going to reshape our industry and adjacent industries is something that I'm really passionate about. So I've been reading a lot about AI, doing a lot of audiobooks on AI, and also just getting hands in and playing with the tools and breaking the things and messing things up and learning. Um, has been really, really like eye opening, and I'm really excited for the next couple of years when AI takes off and it um, makes a big difference in how we do things and reduces costs for companies. Like now, instead of hiring a full on marketing team, if you can get your head around these tools and familiarize yourself, you can seriously reduce costs. And for startups, one of the biggest costs is customer acquisition and marketing. So one of the big peaks has been like using some of these tools to create little snippets of videos and marketing material copies and creatives that we can, for almost like what are we paying, like $20 a month for ChatGPT, $20 a month for Gemini. So for these really low prices, to be able to get content out there that can really impact your customer acquisition and be able to like get you the limelight that you need is super powerful. So I would say to everybody that's in the startup world or even companies, like, you guys need to get on the train and use these tools and familiarize yourself with them, because otherwise you're paying way too much. You're spending money on resources that are outdated and old. Like, this would be a great way to save money and reach a better results. So I think that's been my peak, and I'm continue to peak on this. Yeah, of course. And that's a job too. You want to be a doomer, be a doomer. We need some of those doomers, right? Keep the conversation exciting. Oh, it's yeah, exactly. No, thank you, Wyatt. Really had a great time with you on here, and looking forward to episode 2.